The Rose Bowl kicks off Big Ten play with Indiana visiting UCLA. Oregon faces a mad Oregon State team. Notre Dame and Alabama get a taste of Big Ten life. And Michigan just tries to get right. It's week 3 of the college football season, and Big Ten football, Locked On Big Ten, starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, coming up on 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. It's week 3. We couldn't be more excited with all the little storylines going on. Plus, we've got some Big Ten news and pigskin picks at the end. So hang around for all that. We'll see how I pick your team to do. Week 3 of college football brings us 13 matchups with Big Ten teams. All on Saturday this week. So no Thursday night and Friday night lights, none of that. All on Saturday. And Wisconsin is hosting perennial power Alabama. Notre Dame is in West Lafayette to take on Purdue, coming off the Irish's unfathomable loss to Northern Illinois last week. And the Oregon Ducks, they face an old foe in Oregon State. And the Apple Cup takes place with Washington and Washington State. It's like the good old Pac-12 days with those guys. Well, we'll get to all those matchups here in just a minute. Now, we grew up in a time where we had the traditional New Year's Day matchup where the Big Ten champion would fly out to California and they would play the Pac-10 champion in that beautiful Rose Bowl for annual bragging rights every year, right? That's how the good old days used to be. Well, I used to love those brilliant colors and those camera shots on a warm, sunny day from Southern California and Pasadena during those January 1st Rose Bowl broadcasts as I sat somewhere in the Midwest on a cold, dark, gray, or snowy white day, just miserable, counting down the days to spring. Always loved watching the Rose Bowl. It just kind of dazzled off on the TV. Now, later, I would graduate from Indiana University, right? I've mentioned that a time or two here on Locked On Big Ten. I'm an Indiana grad. Indiana, a school whose team's one and only Rose Bowl appearance occurred before I was ever born. Never saw it. Never happened in my lifetime. January 1, 1968. The Hoosiers played the USC Trojans that day and lost to O.J. Simpson, 14-3. In fact, O.J. scored the only 2 touchdowns in the game. He was named the player of the game. Well, fast forward to 2024. And the Hoosiers are coming back to the Rose Bowl, home of UCLA, to take on new conference foe UCLA and the Bruins. And the Hoosiers and the Bruins have never played before, ever. So that's the cool part of all this expansion and realignment. And now teams get to experience other stadiums and other teams that they never have before. Mark my words, by the way, and yes, this is tongue-in-cheek here. Indiana fans are counting this as a Rose Bowl appearance. Like, to all Hoosier fans, Saturday's game is actually January 1st. Just let us pretend. Just let us pretend. Win or lose, print the T-shirts. It's happening. This game will also be featured on NBC's Big Ten Saturday night at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific with the kickoff. And a programming note for us, as you regulars, you everydayers know, we'll go live on our YouTube channel, on Locked On Big Ten YouTube, Saturday night, as soon as that late night game is over at the Rose Bowl. That'll probably be around 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific if you're on the West Coast. We'll go live. We'll take your comments, immediate reaction to that game and all the other games throughout the day with the Big Ten. A lot of great storylines that we'll get to here in just a second. But a quick note on the IU-UCLA game. Features a couple of first-year head coaches. Indiana's head coach, first-year head coach, Curt Cignetti, trying to turn his program around. He comes in with a 2-0 record following last week's 77-3 win over Western Illinois. And UCLA head coach, Deshaun Foster, he's brand new. Former Bruins player, just got the job. His team comes in at 1-0 after a last-second field goal got them the win at Hawaii 2 weeks ago. They were on bye last week. Indiana has 13 transfers. They got more than 13 transfers, but they got 13 transfers that have come with Cignetti from James Madison, where he came from. Brought a bunch of his players with him. So if he can get them to gel and then play at this next level, that's what they're hoping for. That good things will happen at Indiana. And that includes defensive end Mikael Kamara, who comes over from James Madison. 3 sacks in 2 games already, defensive end. He's registered a tackle for loss in 23 of his 25 career games. And he's going up against a UCLA offensive line that had a little bit of trouble against Hawaii last week. Now, UCLA has a pretty good standout of its own in safety Ramon Henderson. 3 sacks or 3 tackles, 1 sack, and 1 interception versus Hawaii just by himself. The quarterback matchup features Indiana's Curtis Rourke. He transferred in as well, not from James Madison, but from Ohio. And UCLA has Ethan Garbers, who had a horrible first half against Hawaii, but improved enough in the second half for them to win the game. 2 other schools from Indiana face off on Saturday as well in West Lafayette as Notre Dame, coming down from South Bend, faces Purdue. Now, this will be a big feather in the cap for second-year Boilermaker head coach Ryan Walters, as he's looking for his first signature win. He's trying to get this momentum going in the other direction for Purdue. And it might have been unthinkable until Notre Dame's stunning home loss last week to Northern Illinois. So we'll see what happens here. If the Irish lose this game, though, there's going to be some clamoring for some people to lose their jobs at South Bend. It's just the way it's going to be. The Boilermakers won their season opener 49-0 over Indiana State, and then they had a bye week off, getting more time to get ready for the Notre Dame game. So that game will air on CBS at 3:30 Eastern. Meanwhile, there are a couple of other super interesting games in the Big Ten because they involve former Pac-12 teams taking on current Pac-12 or Pac-2 or Pac-8, whatever the news on that, by the way, whatever they're calling themselves. But the news on that, Thursday, Fresno State, Boise State, Colorado State, and San Diego State said they're all going to leave Mountain West to join what is the remnants of the Pac-12, Pac-2. They're getting the band back together again. That's what they're trying to do. You need 8 teams to be a legitimate conference. So they're up to 6 at this point, since Washington State and Oregon State are still there. This will take place in 2026. So stay tuned for that. But Oregon, they're going to Oregon State this weekend. And that fan base is still upset that they got left behind in the Pac-2, Pac-12, Pac-6, whatever we're calling it, while the Ducks went off to greener pastures in the Big Ten. That fan base is going to be all over Oregon. That's going to be a tough place to play. It is anyway. The Ducks, though, are 2-0. They got wins over Idaho and Boise State, but those games were much closer than they should have been. I mean, they were favored by well into the double figures, and they barely won both of those games. One game by 10 and another one by a last-second field goal. So they're going to be going into a situation at Oregon State where we're going to have to keep an eye on this one. I think so. Or is this the week now, finally, week 3, that Oregon gets things rolling on all cylinders and can be a real competitor for Ohio State at the top of the Big Ten? I don't know. This is one of the fascinating storylines to me this weekend. Hey, and Ditto goes for Washington, who's playing against their old rival at Washington State for the Apple Cup. Again, Washington State left behind. Washington moved on. Might be some unhappy fans. That game's at Lumen Stadium in Seattle, by the way. And, of course, the big game that is on everybody's mind here this weekend, Alabama taking on Wisconsin, and we'll have more on that in just a moment. Hey, be sure to subscribe if you're new. Just click it right there, and that's it. No other information, no money, nothing. It's free forever, and you and I will be on the same wavelength for all things Big Ten moving forward. So subscribe, and I'm asking people to share. Somebody that you think might not know we're out here every day, but you know they're a Big Ten fan. So subscribe and share and follow and like Locked On Big Ten for free wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. All right, so the big question this weekend is, can Wisconsin hang with Alabama? And will Michigan get its quarterback situation right? Still working on it. All that coming up here. Locked On Big Ten. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. And with all the parts you need at all the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. And LinkedIn Jobs is for you. If you own a small business or run a small office and you have to hire people, you know it's hard. It's hard to do it. I've had to do it before. You got to take time out of your job to go find a replacement for another job. And it's very time consuming, stressful, and sometimes you feel like you never get good candidates. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. It's not just a job board at LinkedIn. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't even go to any other leading job sites out there. So in a given month, over 70% right there, that could be right in that pool. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Well, thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. And I didn't mention it earlier, we have a website, talkbig10.com. That's the number 10, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there chronologically or grouped by schools. And then you can get your merchandise there, your favorite shirts and hats and all that stuff right there, talkbig10.com. And again, set your alarm on your iPhone or your calendar, your Outlook, whatever you use. We're going to be going live on YouTube, Locked On Big Ten live on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, after the final whistle of the Indiana UCLA game at the Rose Bowl, Saturday night on NBC. That should be around 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific-ish. We'll have immediate live post-game reaction from me, from you, your comments, and all the games throughout the day as well. One of those other games we surely will be talking about is Alabama at Wisconsin. That is at 12 o'clock noon Eastern on Fox. And the crowd at Camp Randall, that's going to be amped up for that. But will the crowd still be there later? You know, when they go to the fourth quarter, the beginning of the fourth quarter, and do that jump around from House of Pains. Great atmosphere. Question is, will people still be there? Will Wisconsin still be in this football game? Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe, the best, most improved college football quarterback from last year, in my opinion. And he's coming in here with a lot of skills and people to throw to. And the Badgers still looking for that big breakout game from Miami transfer quarterback Tyler Van Dyke to lead the offense. But I'll be watching. So will you. We'll be checking it out. Also at noon on the Big Ten Network, Arkansas State is at Michigan at the Big House. This is a week removed from Texas rolling in there and really beating up the Wolverines. So what is the long-term plan at quarterback for Sherrone Moore and company there? Davis Warren has started so far the first two games. He's not looked great. Alex Orji hasn't looked the part in limited spot change of pace duty. And we are wondering if Jack Tuttle may come in and play. He's get healing off of an injury. And the Wolverines, maybe they'll have such a lead in this game, they should, that all three quarterbacks will get to play and kind of figure it out. We did a feature on this very story on a previous Locked On Big Ten. Go check it out. All of our podcasts right there at talkbig10.com. Central Michigan is at Illinois. That's a noon game on Peacock. The Fighting Illini defense was incredible last week in their upset win over number 19 Kansas. And we'll see if Brett Bielema's team can get on a little bit of a roll here. Meanwhile, Michigan State is at home, 3:30 on the Big Ten Network against Prairie View A&M. This should be blowout city. It should be over in the first quarter. Aiden Childs, up and down last week with 3 touchdowns, also 3 interceptions, but they won the game on a last-minute field goal on the road at Maryland. That was impressive. So, again, it should be a really easy day against Prairie View A&M. Minnesota is at home, hosting Nevada, 3:30 Big Ten Network. Expect to see a lot of quarterback Max Brosmer in this game, and the Gophers are coming off a 48-0 win over Rhode Island last week, and they open up Big Ten play next week against Iowa. Iowa, very good defensive team. I think Minnesota is a pretty good defensive team. Next week's game could be a little defensive dogfight, if you will. Speaking of Iowa, they're on at 4 o'clock Eastern on FS1 against Troy. This is a game they should win. Coming off a disappointing loss, though, against Iowa State, which quarterback Cade McNamara only threw for 99 yards the entire game. That's not going to cut it. Even with an Iowa offense, it's not going to cut it. If the struggles continue, keep an eye out for Northwestern transfer quarterback Brendan Sullivan. Although Kirk Ferentz is very slow to make switches at positions like quarterback, so I don't know if there'll be a quick hook or not. There won't be a quick hook. Cade McNamara will play a significant amount of this game. But again, keep an eye on the Brandon Sullivan story there. Northern Illinois is at Nebraska. That's 7:30 on the Big Ten Network. The Huskers still basking in the glory of their 28-10 win over Coach Prime in Colorado last week. And that was great. It was a great atmosphere if you watched that on NBC last weekend on national TV. As good as a game as that was for Dylan Raiola and the Huskers, they became stagnant on offense in the second half. In fact, got outscored 10-0 in the second half, and a lot of penalties. Matt Rule will want to clean all that up. No turnovers, though. That's awesome and unusual. So that's what they're trying to do this year. Eastern Illinois is at Northwestern, back at their little on-campus stadium there, the makeshift stadium, 7:30 on the Big Ten Network. Now, the Wildcats have yet to throw a touchdown pass this year. So they're going to make a change at quarterback. A lot quicker to make a change at quarterback at Northwestern than they are at Iowa. But Mike Wright has been benched in favor of Jack Lausch. And Maryland is at Virginia on the road, 8 o'clock. That's on the ACC network, by the way, since it's at Virginia. Mike Loxley's team hitting the road here after that surprising home loss against Michigan State last week, I think. But Maryland's schedule is still such that they can put together a bit of a roll here in the next month. So they'll get this one. Virginia's not that good. Well, I'll tell you what they're going to do. We got our pigskin picks. That's coming up next. We'll go through all the Big Ten teams. Let you know we got point spreads and point totals. We'll go through all of it. That's coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Factor meals. At the end of a long workday, last thing you want to do is go home and cook. Maybe you don't have enough groceries. You got to go grocery shopping and then cook. And then by then, it's too late. You're exhausted. Get some good meals ready to go. Less than 2 minutes of prep time. Factor meals. And they got options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat again in just 2 minutes. Easy breezy, piece of cake. 35 different meals to choose from with over 60 add-ons to choose from. Always new flavors to explore. Treat yourself to some really high quality stuff here. Filet mignon, shrimp, blackened salmon. You got to check this out. Here's how. You can head to factormeals.com /LockdownCollege50. That's what you need at the end of that. So factormeals.com /Lockdown50. Use the code LockdownCollege50 and get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code LockdownCollege50 at factormeals.com /LockdownCollege50. Again, 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. All right, it is time for our pigskin picks for the weekend. And let's put this on. We're going to put it on full screen. If you're audio only, we'll describe it in detail here so you never feel left out. People listen to us, either they do it on YouTube with the video or they listen on Apple or wherever you get your podcasts. So many different ways to get us. Here we go, full screen. Going to put this up here and get rid of one more banner there. All right, there we go. Let's start it off in chronological order by kickoff time. We have Alabama at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's a 16.5-point underdog. The over-under at 49.5. I think the number goes over. I think Alabama's going to come in and put a lot of points. Look, until I see Tyler Van Dyke play at a next level, I think Alabama's going to win this game and cover by the 16.5. I do. I think they could even win by in the 20s, maybe 3 touchdowns. But I'll be rooting for Wisconsin. I hope I'm wrong on this one because you know me, I have a lot of pride. Big Ten over SEC, and I got a lot of SEC friends that annoy me, and I don't like it. I had to take it last week when Texas beat Michigan. Here we go again, another SEC Big Ten. I'm going to be rooting for Wisconsin on this one, but I just don't know if I'm actually making picks. Speaking of Michigan versus Arkansas State, they, again, sometimes in these non-conference games, Michigan doesn't cover, even last year when they were awesome. 22.5. Let's say they get things worked out a little bit. They win by more than 3 touchdowns. Let's say Michigan covers the 22.5, and this goes over the number of 47.5. Illinois, 18.5-point favorites against Central Michigan. I think this game will be a little closer than that. And I think the number at 48.5 is right about right. I would skip that altogether. I think Illinois wins this game, maybe more like by 2 touchdowns, maybe even throwing a field goal for 17, but they still come short on an 18.5. How about that? Notre Dame at Purdue. I don't even know if I want to touch this one. I mean, a lot of people, when the schedule came out, Notre Dame's going to go in and Purdue and blow them out. Then they lose to Northern Illinois at home, and now they got to come on and take on a Purdue team that's going, maybe there's an opportunity here. Like, are you surprised this number's only 9.5? Sometimes you just lay off. I don't know. I don't know if this is Notre Dame on paper should come in here and win this game by 3 touchdowns. They should. Vegas says, this is a 9.5-point game. So I wouldn't touch it if I were you. If you're more brave, go ahead. I think Notre Dame will bounce back and win this one handily. That's my advice. Oregon versus Oregon State. Here's the deal. Oregon's going to win this game. But again, Oregon doesn't even come close to covering. This is dangerous at 16.5 points. Say Oregon wins by a couple touchdowns. And if they do, the storyline continues. If they blow them out, we can all say, look, Oregon fixed everything. Well, I'll take those points. I think I'll take Oregon State with those points, but Oregon wins the game. And the number flies past the 50.5. Take the over. Prairie View A&M, Michigan State. Michigan State should win by 5 or 6 touchdowns. That's a big number, though. That's a big number. So, and the over-under is 50.5. So Vegas is telling you that they should win this game like in the 40 to I don't even like 45 to 3-ish somewhere. I don't know. I guess take the over based on that. Take the over. All right, I'm going to say Michigan State covers. I'm deciding on the fly here. I waffled all up until airtime on this. Maybe they win by 45 points or something like that. All right, elsewhere, we got Nevada at Minnesota. I like the number low here at 42.5. I take the under. This is a good defensive team in Minnesota. I think they will cover the 17.5. Washington State versus Washington. I think Washington wins. They covered the 4.5. And this could be a higher scoring game. 55.5 is about right. Let's just say it gets over. Troy and Iowa. Look, Iowa's supposed to win by 22.5, but the over-under is only 38.5. These Iowa guys, I always tell you, take the under on Iowa games. Yeah, they'll probably win this game like maybe 24-3, something like that. 24-10. That doesn't cover. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. I'm doing horrible math. I hate doing math live. Look, I think Iowa's going to win by more than 3 touchdowns and just keep it on the under. See what happens. Should stick with my script. I prepare for this ahead of time, and then I waffle right when we get to airtime. Indiana at UCLA. Make no bones about this one. Indiana, a 3.5-point favorite at UCLA. Indiana wins. Indiana covers. and take the over 45.5. Indiana scored 77 points last week. There. How clear is that? Indiana wins, covers, and take the over. Northern Iowa at Nebraska. Yeah, Nebraska will win this game by 4 touchdowns, I think, and take the over as well. Love watching Tilly Raiola. Eastern Illinois at Northwestern. I don't know if Northwestern has the firepower to beat anybody by 24.5. So I don't think they hit the number. I'll take Northwestern to win, but Eastern Illinois on the points. I'm not so sure about that number. I'll take the under, a low-scoring game. And Maryland is at Virginia. Maryland should win by a field goal at least. And this could be a high-flying scoring game here in the 30s. Take the over. There. I am proud of myself. A lot more decisive on these last set of games here. All right, very good. Appreciate it. Thank you for hanging with me. I know you have your own opinion. It's fun to go along with me on that one or against me. Either way, we're going along for the ride. Many ways for you to interact with me, of course. There's Twitter at TalkBig10 There's our website, TalkBig10.com. We can buy merchandise and see all of our other podcasts. Go for a second listen there. Go catch up on what we did this week. Did a lot of great podcasts this week. You can also interact on YouTube. And I love it when you guys get going back and forth with the rivalries. Whatever you do, subscribe for free. Just subscribe to this podcast, share, follow, and like, and that helps us a lot. Thank you very much. However you get to this on your favorite podcast app, you get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Enjoy these games this weekend. Enjoy more Locked On Big Ten podcasts. Feel free for a second listen with our friends at Locked On College Football as well. They have a podcast covering everybody, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're going live as soon as the Indiana UCLA whistle blows at the Rose Bowl Saturday night. So we'll see you there. Tell your friends, get your comments ready, and then we'll be back at the regular routine starting on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it. I know I did. I always look forward to it and can't wait till we meet again. I'm Craig Sheeman for Locked On Big Ten.